Hello, this is Dr. Young, and I'm going to go over your discussion and your assignment for this week. I'll be posting these videos each week that just give you an overview and a little bit of more information about the requirements for your assignments. For the discussion this week, you're going to talk about management theory. And what you want to do is research early management theories, current ones, and come up with a comparison for the first two parts of this discussion. So you will use the South University Online Library for this. I would definitely stick to credible sources. Don't use eHow, Wikipedia, any of those sites that can be where people can just upload information to it. I'm looking for credible sources, and they will count. There will be points counted off if you're using sources that aren't very credible. So make sure to do that for all discussions and papers. Just want to clarify that. For the third part of this discussion, you want to talk about innovation and technology and how that affects the role of a manager. That should be pretty straightforward. There's lots of different technologies and innovations you can describe and talk about how it is, how they are used in the workplace and how they affect managing. And then the fourth and final part for your discussion is developing a plan for management that includes the skills and attributes a manager should possess. So you may need to go and research managerial styles and kind of come up with an ideal manager and what their capabilities and characteristics are that allow them to be successful. You may be, maybe you've experienced this, in one of your positions or in your career, and you can apply that example to this assignment. Maybe you've seen a great manager in action, and you can draw out the characteristics, managerial styles that made them effective and talk about those. So, or you can do research. And in this plan, explain how you would implement each function of management in your role as a manager. So you want to go through each function and talk about how you would, how would you plan? How would you organize? You want to go through all those steps and talk about that in your discussion post. So if you could look down here on them, you can see this is a table, grading criteria table, excuse me. And you can actually click here and you get the full expanded rubric. The full expanded rubric is what will be in your grade book when I grade these. Just so make sure to take a look at this. Honestly, I've been posting it. I think I posted it on the discussion board this week just for easy access, but just make sure to follow this right-hand column here for exemplary A range, and you can get an A. But you got to meet all these requirements. And if you look specifically at the participation, it requires 3 responses. 1 to me and 2 to your classmates or more. So just so you know that, I just want to make sure to clarify that, because that's one that gets students a lot. They think it's just 3 total posts, but it's responses, and then that doesn't include your initial post. Okay, so for this week's paper, you're going to talk about planning, which is the first function of management. We're talking about planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. I have a little bit of cold, I'm sorry. So, each week, you have to assess the functional performance of a manager. What you're going to do here is, well, the first thing you do for this is a kind of a, papers are a lot more, they're worth more points and they're more involved in discussions. It should be a 2 to 3 page paper. That includes the body of the paper only, but not the title page and not the reference page or the abstract. All the body of the paper should be minimum 2 to 3 pages. Actually, minimum 2 pages, maximum 3 pages. If you go a little over, that really doesn't bother me. What I usually get is someone that is submitting something that's very short. And that's what I'm going to be looking for, because it's not going to give me enough information. I want to make sure that I get a fully developed paper that really goes in depth and is formatted in APA style. So for this paper, we're going to look at planning. So you're going to compare the application of each of the 4 functions of management in terms of how it might be different 25 years ago based on the evolution of management theory. So kind of building upon what you've done for your discussion, you're going to start, you can use some of that information, not word for word, but the ideas that you generated and some of the research that you've done to answer the first question, or actually to address the first part of the assignment. It's not really a question. And do this, you'll be able to do this comparison, with that information. Number 2, select a manager. It could be present, past. It could be, it could be anyone that, has been a leader that you've witnessed. Maybe, you could even assess yourself if you're a manager. That would be kind of an interesting approach. Of course, it might be a little bit biased, but you might want to, you could actually assess yourself. You could have someone else assess you if you're a manager. So anyway, select a manager and assess his or her planning strengths based on assigned reading concepts and theory. Research can also be supplemented from, but not solely based on, other information from academically credible resources. So what you want to do is focus on using your reading for the concepts that you need to apply here. Or, as you assess manager that you've had in your career or your current one. And once you're done getting that down, I would recommend that you go to the SUO library and look for articles that might, support or supplement your assessment. I do encourage outside research. I just don't want you to use it as the primary resource for this paper. Assess that same manager's planning weaknesses using the assigned reading concepts theory. Research can also be supplemented from, but not solely based on, other information from academically credible resources. Same thing. So we've got planning strengths, planning weaknesses for 2 and 3. You might use specific situations to highlight your assessment. Obviously, if you feel like your manager has really great planning skills, tell me how you saw that in action. So while you're applying the concepts from the text, you may use real-life examples to highlight and support, your assessment and the results that you got from that assessment. Excuse me. As you're assessing the skills, you're looking at, this. They're very timely. This manager's very timely in his projects. There's a high-level organization. And how do you know that? Based on what? You may use that information as well. And I've obviously encouraged, the behaviors and the situations that occurred that gave you the idea that, this person's strength was whatever and weaknesses were whatever, and that could be a lot of different things, but real life examples woven into your paper is effective, definitely. So Defend 2 or 3 recommendations for improving the manager's performance in the functional area of planning based on the assessment of both strengths and weaknesses and the use of academically credible sources. So at this point, you have already examined the strengths and weaknesses. You have listed them out. You are communicating all of those, and now what you need to do is present 2 or 3 recommendations for improving that manager's performance. And, give me rationale for the use of whatever strategy you're going to use. That's it. So you can see it's a 2 to 3 page paper that only includes the body of the paper. It does not include the other parts, reference page, title page, abstract. Only the material that I'm reading should be 2 to 3 pages. So just make sure that everything else is, that doesn't include just the APA format elements. So here, this is the grading chart for this. This does not have an expanded rubric. So this is the rubric that will be placed in the grade book when I'm done grading. And it really tells you exactly what your paper needs to contain. And each one of these should be addressed carefully in your papers. So that's really all there is. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know. I hope that this video is helpful to you. And I'm struggling a little bit tonight, so I do apologize with my, allergies. Those are wonderful things, allergies. We get them here in my area all the time, and it makes me sound a little bit raspy, and it bothers my voice a bit. Makes me talk a little funny, so speak a little funny. So anyway, as we go through the week, if you find yourself stuck when you're working on this, feel free to text me, email me, call me. I'll be glad to give you more clarification. But I think this is pretty straightforward, and I think you can see as we go through the course, we're just going to go through the functions of management on your for your written assignments. I mean, we just kind of go through, each one. Papers are comparable, except for the week 3, you have a bigger, you have a much larger assignment. Well, it's about double what you've done before week 3. So you can see they just progress through the functions, and that's basically this class it just goes through those functions in detail. So I appreciate your time, and I will be posting these each week again. And I just wanted to remind you, they should be in your announcements at the beginning of the week. I'm a little bit late on this one. Anyway, thank you. Have a great evening. And I look forward to the discussions this week.